Welcome to Americana Archives. Today we have part 2 of the article, The Latest Triumph of American Telephone Service. The subheadline is Line Established Between New York and San Francisco, California. President Wilson, Mayor Mitchell of New York, and Mayor Curley of Boston, among the first to send messages across the continent, an achievement which the telephone company has cause to feel proud. It says, the advance in long-distance telephony has been fairly steady since 1876, when Bell and Watson talked between Boston and Cambridge, Massachusetts, over 2 miles of wire. In 1882, a line 45 miles in length was strung between Boston and Providence, and in 1884, a line 235 miles in length was constructed between Boston and New York. Chicago and New York could talk over a line 900 miles long in 1895, and the next step in 1911 put New York and Denver in communication over 2,100 miles of wire. Now the distance between the east and west coasts of the country is traversed by 3,400 miles of wire. Leaving San Francisco, the route taken by the transcontinental line takes it into Salt Lake City, a distance of 770 miles. The next loop reaches Denver, 580 miles farther east. And from Denver, the line is strung to Omaha, a distance of 585 miles. From Omaha, the wires run into Chicago, a trip of 500 miles. At Chicago, the line branches, part going to Pittsburgh, 545 miles, and then to New York, 390 miles farther east. The other branch loops from Chicago to Buffalo, a distance of 603 miles, and then to New York, 350 miles. From Buffalo, there's a 465-mile continuation of the line to Boston. And from Pittsburgh, a branch extends to Baltimore, 250 miles away, and then on to Washington, 265 miles. Philadelphia is reached by a line extending from the Pittsburgh-New York loop, connecting at Newton Square. The line contains 4 hard-drawn copper wires, each 3,400 miles in length, from which are derived 2 physical circuits and a phantom circuit. In each of these circuits, there are 2 wires each 0.165 inch in diameter. The total weight of one circuit of 2 wires is 2,960,000 pounds, or 1,480 tons. 130,000 poles are used to support the line. The work of stretching this line across the country was child's play compared with the task of developing the apparatus which would make the line of practical value. As Mr. Carty said, we could have built a transcontinental line years ago, but no one could have made it talk. We have just found out how to do that. Transcontinental voice travel is not the result of the work of any one man or any one invention. It represents the scientific discoveries of thousands of men and the results of hundreds of inventions. President Vail of the American Telephone and Telegraph Company said not long ago, the solution was found in the cumulative effect of improvements great and small in telephone, line, cable, switchboard, and every other piece of apparatus or plant required in the transmission of speech. Every forward step in the art of telephony has been taken over a scrap heap of apparatus discarded as new and better telephone machinery was invented. The present telephone instrument has 130 parts. The transmitter is the 73rd type devised, and the receiver is the 53rd in the line that began in 1876. Construction and reconstruction of apparatus in the past 10 years has cost more than the present book value of the entire plant. This work has been done all along the line from New York to San Francisco. Tests, experiments, and thousands of changes and improvements have had to be made before a 3,400-mile telephone talk could become a possibility. Transmitters, metallic circuits, wire, loading coils, and the other machinery of the system have had to be made to work in unison. The development of the loading coil, for instance, illustrates what has been done. When it left the hands of the inventor, it was as large as a nail keg, and the cost of the fine iron wire in it, having peculiar metallic, magnetic, and electrical qualities, was exorbitant. Today, the loading coil is in some cases only 4 or 5 inches in diameter, and the cost of the fine, hair-like, insulated iron wire is comparatively low. This wire now is 4 thousandths of an inch in diameter, and 13,600 miles of it are used along the transcontinental line to reinforce the electric current. Coming just at this time, the transcontinental line will become a feature of the Panama Pacific Exposition at San Francisco that will rival the Panama Canal, which the exposition serves to commemorate. Not only are two oceans joined by a waterway that brings New York and San Francisco days nearer to each other by ship travel, but they are brought within instant reach of the voice by means of a speech canal such as is unknown elsewhere in the world. It is difficult to realize just what has been accomplished by making it possible to talk across the United States. The motive power, telephony, is the feeblest thing alive. It is just a breath. It is said that the falling teardrop of a child will generate enough water power to send a message from one city to another. How to make this puny thing send the sound of the voice from New York to San Francisco was the tremendous problem that has been solved. Sound waves are converted into electrical waves, carried over the line from the Atlantic to the Pacific, and there transformed back into sound waves. Different no whit from those generated when the telephone talker spoke into the receiver in New York. These waves attain a velocity of 56,000 miles a second. Each sound is different from the others, and the spacing between them as they fly across the continent varies. But though they are sent out at the rate of 50,000 a minute, they must not tumble over each other or get in each other's way. They must be faithfully preserved and conserved, so that when they are converted from electrical to sound waves on the western coast, they will agitate the air just as they did in the room where the words were spoken. Commenting upon the possibilities opened up by the line, Mr. T. Spawn of the New York Telephone Company said last night that transcontinental telephone communication brings nearer to realization the idea of universal service preached by President Vail and his associates since the early days of telephony. It means that the time is not far distant when it will be possible for anyone anywhere to talk with anyone else in any other part of the country, simply by going to his telephone and telling the operator the party and location desired. The line is still in the hands of the engineers. It is like a great ship just launched and given its first trial. There is quite a lot of field work to be completed before the line can be open to the public. But when that is finished, it will be possible for a New York man to talk with someone in San Francisco without leaving his desk. The day will soon come when anyone in South Amboy can send his voice to the city of the Golden Gate or anywhere else along the Pacific seaboard. Kipling's song, "And there is neither east nor west, border nor breed nor birth," will find itself a melody of fact for the United States. It is a point well worth noting that this great telephone system of ours bears a stamp, made in the USA. This story came from the great state of New Jersey, being reported in the South Amboy Citizen of March 6, 1915. Thank you for joining us today. If you want to continue to uncover all of America's lost and forgotten history, then remember before you leave to hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell, and remember to like and comment below. We will see you next time on Americana Archives.